What's up, Daily Fab Gamers? Thank you so much for watching my stream. Before you jump into this red-hot action, let's review the rules. Don't be a dick. This should go without saying, but better safe than sorry. Chat with me. You know that I can talk at my computer for hours, but it's more fun when my computer talks back. And let's have a good time. I don't mind getting sweaty, but we can have fun while we do it. Use the chat command deck for a link to the list I'm playing here. It's also in the video description. Some of these decks are sick, and you might want to play them in real life. In that case, let me refer you to Hemel from the Bazaar. It's never been more affordable to play in the flesh and blood. Players have been buying the cards they need from Hemel for years. I started buying from him in 2023 and have never found a better deal. The Bazaar's prices are the lowest for singles, full sets, and class sets, including new releases. Super Slam singles and more are available now and ship both domestically and internationally. Use the command Hemel for contact info, then reach out to see what he can do for you. Now settle in and get cozy because the stream begins now. Good morning, everyone. It's me, Lupinefiasco. I'm back. Florian had a good run, said I didn't play my best this last weekend. Blasmafet, I hear you. It's Thursday. I'm back. Was sad not to stream for you all on Monday, but happy to be here now. Admittedly, for a short stream. Unfortunately, I do have a conflict with my day job at 9, so I will have to cut out an hour early, but I will be back tomorrow for my full 2-hour stint playing RKO. Deck I'm very interested to play, especially in light of the passing of our dear departed Florian. I had a lot of fun playing Florian. I'm going to talk about the RTN experience, but I really liked the shift in playstyle from just balls to the wall aggro that I get from Syndra and KO Armed and Dangerous. Moving over to Florian felt like a breath of fresh air, and I'll talk about why that was, and then I get to try to carry the torch with RKO. So that's what I'll be talking about today. It's just the RTN run. I'm going to have some negative temps. Jesus, I'm sorry, Matt. Yeah, it's cold in California, but it's not negative temps. I mean, it's 44 outside, which I'm sure you would love. So I'm going to walk you through the deck I was playing. This is not my list. This is Andrea Mangucci's list from Patreon. Did I see Majin using my lightning token? Oh, it was so cool. I did. I got pointed to the stream. I watched it. I reached out to Bryce on Blue Sky and told him, no, that isn't Majin's cat. It's my cat. I have a Ko-Fi now where you can buy the token. Should put a link somewhere, which I guess I'll do. I also have YouTube memberships now. We have emotes. You get a badge. Working on exploring that monetization option, but also making chat a little more fun for all of you. Can't wait to see RKO. I'm interested in playing that hero. Enki Dupakier put up a really interesting list on Blue Sky a few days ago, and I want to give it a try, so we're going to do that tomorrow. But I will, direct us towards, where are you, Week 3 Florian Guide? There you are. Damn. It do be like that. So I'll just, start talking you through the Florian list. Again, not my list. This is Andrea Mangucci's. But the hero's LL that I'm not going to show you the sideboard guide, so I feel like I am not leaking anything that you would otherwise pay for on Patreon. Also, it's a Florian list. I know Yasker was out here with 24 blues and no Channel of the Millennium Tree, but it's Florian. So for the most part of the 80 cards, 70 of them are all the same. Not exactly leaking the tech. So equipment loadout, it's Florian, right? Barkskin, there's no Tunic in this list, which is going to come back to haunt me at some point in the review, specifically the quarterfinals. Tunic would have been nice. Facepro, Grasp Reaping, well grounded. We have all the Decomposers. Again, this is a Florian list. The only card that I really waffled on and ended up changing was I cut a copy, let me just make this small. I cut a copy of Blue Cadaver's Tilling for a single So Tomorrow, which ended up being actually really helpful. The So Tomorrow, playing from Arsenal, pitching a blue, floating 2 resources, drawing a blue, putting Felling of the Crown on the bottom of my deck, and then casting Germinate for X equals 5, and floating a resource, but whatever. Tunic would have made that better too. Was really good. Like, I was very impressed by So Tomorrow. I don't know that I would play 3 copies over Cadaverous Tillings, but the one of was really good. Playing Vincent next, keeping on the Rune Train. I'm not planning to. I'm sure at some point Vincent will be a deck that I'll try and love, and then she'll LL too, because by the time I get to her, she'll have even more broken cards and be at a 1.5x multiplier, but not for me right now. And we move into the inventory, and again, Outed, Rune Rager, 7 through 9D reacts. I'm playing the 3 Amulet of Echoes for Acilio. At my RTN of 48 players, there was 1 Acilio, and I never ran into it. And if I had known that, or if I had even experimented with Tunic, if I'd been playing Florian for longer, I would have cut an Amulet for Tunic, and the Tunic would have been nice. The real spice from Mengucci's list, which Florian, so it isn't even that spicy, is Dread Scythe. I have Scythe here for really Verdance specifically. Like any other hero, I can kind of get away with Reaping Blade, but it does happen to be very good against Jarl as well, so that your late game Channel the Millennium Trees still work after Jarl Frozen to Death's your Grasp of the Arknight. And I did play against a Jarl in my RTN, but he never broke my grasp. So the Dread Scythe didn't matter too much. Well, we'll get into it. The Dread Scythe would have been helpful in a different matchup had I been more experienced with Florian and know how to play the deck. So this is the deck I was playing. I'll walk you through, again, just like how I did with KO. We'll talk about my rounds, what I lost to. We'll go through Fablazing data and sort of evaluate how we could move forward if I was going to adjust the list to counter what beat me. But this hero is dead, so it really doesn't matter. But, you know, we've only got 45 minutes, and it's fun. Talking about Flesh and Blood is fun. So we're 48 people, 6 rounds of Swiss. I ended up with a 4-2 record, squeaking into top 8 at 6th seed, and then died in top 8. The quarterfinals game was very exciting and very heartbreaking. Round 1, I pair into -IO. Very standard Dio game. I play defense. We board out Enlightened Strike. We board in Shelter from the Storm. And I do play Dread Scythe into Dio and Acilio, not because they gain life, but because I want to gain life if I'm given the space to do so. Like the turn 0 Germinate, turn 0 discard fruits, turn 0 play Everbloom life, or even if they stumble at some point in the game and I get to keep more cards, my win condition is not killing them, at least not -IO. Acilio's a little weirder. My win condition for -IO is fatiguing her, so just scything for 3 or grasp reaping for 4 is never great, but discarding fruits to gain 2 life to give myself more of a buffer is much better than that. So we play Scythe. Scythe is a joke against Verdance. It doesn't actually stop her from comboing. It does, well, the Scythe itself doesn't. Channel Scythe does stop Verdance from comboing. So the actual win condition against Verdance is to find Channel Mount Heroic early, send a bunch of damage, chunk her to like 10 to 15, then play your Millennium Tree. If you can keep Millennium Tree out for 3 turns and every turn you're scything Verdance, especially if she isn't on AB4, she cannot combo. If you can put her below 10, then you can start looking for either another Millennium Tree to keep chunking her down, find another Channel Mount Heroic, and send, you know, a 15 damage turn with Rune Rager swarming, Reaping Blade Grasp. Like, there are ways to do it. Channel Millennium Tree and Scythe buy you time for Verdance, but it is a very hard matchup. Like, I don't like that matchup. Good morning, Rose. The Dio game is just a Dio game. I block a bunch. I end up going to 2. I had an all-red hand at one point when I really needed a blue to, like, send a felling or send cadavers, something that would have prompted Dash to have to block. We're doing well, Rose. We're just going through the RTN review. Today's a short stream. I only have an hour, so we're doing the same thing as with KO, where I'll talk about my matchups and what I lost to, and then how I would change Florian going forward, even though it doesn't matter because this year was LL'd. And I'm not playing this weekend anyway, where he would have LL'd for sure if Yasser didn't do it last weekend. But we beat the Dio. It was a standard Dio game. Round 2, I pair into my teammate Austin on Jarl. He had played Verdance into me on Friday, which is where I learned how much I hate the Verdance matchup. And I have not played the Jarl matchup, but I do know 2 things. 1, it's easier than Verdance because I can actually execute my game plan of pitching Germinates for the late game and using Scythe to get around having my grass broken. Guess who won an RTN with Gravy? Fucking everyone, Rose, all right? I lost to a Gravy in my quarters, and that kept me from qualifying, and then that Gravy won the RTN. So I don't want to hear about Gravies winning RTNs. I'm very aware of what Gravy Bones can do at an RTN. The Jarl game was really just a standard Jarl game. I felt bad for Austin because I was just a tourist on Florian, and he's been playing Jarl for a while. He's been playing Fatigue Guardian for a while. And this was just like, I did the Florian thing. He got an early crumble onto my grasp, but could never put a Frozen to Death together. So I had grasp the entire game, which is great because it keeps my channels around for longer. I lost to 2 Florians. I almost beat the Gravy. I mean, we'll get to it, but the Gravy Florian isn't as doomed as I thought it was. I at least know what that win looks like. So this Jarl game, he resolves 2 fused Oakenolds early in the game, but it's Florian, so I can play a 1 or 2 card hand really well. I have a bunch of armor. This is the matchup where Tunic would have been really helpful, but it isn't in the list, so I didn't present it. It isn't like Barkskin does nothing in the matchup. It just isn't as good, right? There isn't a ton that I really need to block. Fatigue Jarl doesn't really have on hits besides Oakenold, which you can cover. You can put Face, Barkskin, Grasp, and a 3 block in front of the Oakenold and cover it out, but then you're setting yourself up for more Frozen to Death. The Oakenolds were so early in the game that I didn't want to put counters on my own equipment, and I didn't want to break my Well-Grounded to free up an armor slot for Jarl, even though it's really Frozen to Death and Pulse of Isenloft that generate Frostbite. But I also know that Florian is favored into Jarl, and I'm pitching my Germinates early. I'm on Scythe, so I'm going to gain life when I find the Germinates later, and it was kind of just a standard Florian Guardian game. We got there, put Austin into the 1-1 bracket, from which he never recovered, put myself into the 2-0 bracket, which sent me forward into Fatigue Betsy, which, on the one hand, spooky. I don't know what Betsy does. I've never played against this hero before. But on the other hand, it's Fatigue Guardian, and I just played a Fatigue Guardian. I know what Fatigue Guardian does. But here I make a crucial mistake that didn't cost me this game, but would come back to haunt me later, where I present Grasp Reaping Blade. Because I'm thinking, well, Grasp Reaping Blade, as opposed to Dread Scythe, presents more value, right? It's 1-card 5s at the end of the game instead of Dread Scythe, which is a 1-card 4. But the problem is Betsy is fatiguing me. She's not dealing as much damage, so I am going to be at a higher life total, which means that Reaping Blade will turn off my healing, specifically my Germinates. Dread Scythe does not turn off my Germinates, so this ended up not being a problem. I won this game with like 25 life. It was fine. But it's more that I could have won at 40 life. And that would have been cool. When I saw Florian LL, all I could think of was just buying into the deck. If I had qualified with Florian, it would have been fine. I would not have minded. As it is, I will at some point play the Face Purgatory and Barkskin of the Millennium Tree that I bought into. So like, it isn't a huge deal. I have Truces now. I'll play those at some point. Maybe Florian comes back and I get to play my Germinates. But overall, it didn't feel like I wasted money. It was more like, oh, that's unfortunate. Good morning, Steven. We're just doing an RTN report talking about Florian. Going through my games. So yeah, Fatigue Betsy. This was again, standard Fatigue Guardian. Pitch my Germinates early, find them late. Every Germinate ran into a Ripple Away. Thankfully, all in together, Rob, who was at the event, had walked me through the Ripple Away Germinate interaction that he had run into 2 days prior, which is, yeah, the bigger problem is not being able to Everbloom Germinates. That, absolutely, Plasmathet, that is also a thing. I was still on the smooth brain Everbloom back my Everblooms. I wasn't thinking about Everblooming back the Germinates, but yes, that's exactly right. You do need to Everbloom your Germinates back. So the Ripple Away Germinate interaction is when Florian is online, you play Germinate, your opponent discards Ripple Away in response. There were 2 interactions that happen, 2 replacement effects. One is Florian says, if you make a token, make 1 more. Ripple Away says, if you make a token, make 1 less. And you, Florian, the active player, gets to decide the order in which these replacement effects happen. So when people discard Ripple Away, they think they're getting you because, wow, you turned your Germinate for 6 into 0 Rune Chance. But you, as the Florian, gets to say, I'm going to have Florian trigger first. Then I will have Ripple Away trigger. So Florian says, these 7 Rune Chance turn into 14 Rune Chance. Then Ripple Away says those 14 Rune Chance turn into 7 Rune Chance. So the Germinates are still doing something, they just aren't nearly as good. And this was a good thing for me to know. It was a great interaction to be aware of. This was the only game in which it was relevant, and I don't think it really mattered as much this game. By the time we got down to me presenting lethal damage, I had 6 cards in deck and Betsy had 3. So even if Betsy is maintaining life total, is being able to keep more cards in hand because she doesn't have to pitch into the Arcane Barrier, I still just get there. My rate is just too good. I'm presenting 1 card 5s off of a single blue. Betsy is presenting 1 card 3s off of a Miller's Grindstone that had lost a clash way earlier in the game. But this was just a fun game to win. We were running out of time and I needed to end the game quickly. I had 7 Rune Chance. I had 9 Rune Chance because I had Grasped, Germinated. So I made 7 Rune Chance. Then I had 9 Rune Chance total. Then I block a Miller's Grindstone for 3 with 3 Canopy Shelters that had all just been pitched at various points in the game. So of the 5 cards remaining in my deck, I used 3 of them to make 6 Mites, and then got to send 9 Arcane Reaping Blade for 9, which closed out the game. So that was cool. Unnecessary, but we get the flavor win. Styled on him, as they say. So 3-0, go into round 4. Here we pair into Gravy Bones for the first time. The same Gravy that I will face and lose to in quarterfinals. This was just a non-game. Like, the quarterfinals game was very exciting and very close. This one was a non-game, where for Florian to beat Gravy, it's always nice if the Gravy stumbles, but what Florian really needs to do in this case is find an early Channel Mount heroic and then get like 9 points out of it, or 12 points, or chain a 9-point Channel Mount into the second 9-point Channel Mount and present enough damage to Gravy early that you can just kill him. He can't put this big board state together. He can't keep big hands. The heuristic that I was given yesterday practicing KO versus Gravy is, as an aggressive deck, which Florian has to be in this game, you need to put your Gravy to low 20s or upper teens before he gets 3 allies in Grave to really force him off of his game plan. And I mean, this game against Gravy, I drew my channels. Like, the channels, the Fellings, they all showed up at good times with no blues. So I was drawing these hands of 3 reds and a yellow, or 4 reds, or 3 reds and a blue, but I couldn't convert off of the single blue. Like, they were just atrocious dogshit hands. So, a non-game. I think the Gravy won with like 25 life. Sadly, I was not able to use my Codex journal to give you all correct information because playing Florian just meant that my games lasted so long that I didn't actually have time to write anything down between like eating a snack and running to the bathroom before my next round, especially because my games were Dio, which is fatigue, Jarl, which is fatigue, Betsy, which is fatigue. So the gravy game didn't last very long, but I just got blown the fuck up, so that didn't feel good. We're 3-1. We go into round 5. I basically need to win this one, or this was my winning in. In a 6-round event, you always want to win the first 4 and then feel like you're very locked. If you win the first 3, you really need to win your 5th game, and then you can lose the 6th and you'll still be okay, but you really need to win the 5th one. This game was played against Arachne Marionette. Very good California local, but very bad matchup for the Marionette, and this one was no different. The Florian Marionette really needs the Marionette to draw well. The Florian needs to not have the D-Reacts. I have 9 D-Reacts in the list. I had Channel Mountain Heroics. Millennium Trees were here for the late game. Fellings are in. Autumn Touches and Plows. Like, I could just do the Florian thing, which I did. I won this game at 15. It isn't a great game for... It's not a great game for Marionette generally, but especially now as the builds are trending more towards damage to get through Verdants. Florian just doesn't really care. Florian's going to have the D-React. Florian has a bunch of armor. So if the Marionette isn't presenting any meaningful disruption, Florian just doesn't care. And if the Marionette is presenting disruption, it might just be banish off the top, and then you're helping me because you put an earth into my banish. I think in this game, my first card banish off the top was an earth card, which meant that the first felling got to come in for 8 instead of 4, because it then banished 3 earth from my graveyard. Hey Rob, it sounds like a pretty competitive event. Yeah, I mean, it sucks being the Florian in the room who didn't dodge gravy, right? Like, there was another Florian player who I think won the event, like ended up putting points on the hero who just dodged gravy and like skillfully played the gem roulette. And it could never be me, you know? Paired into 2 good matchups in the top 8 instead of just gravy bones. Yeah. Maybe next time for me. So beat the Marionette. We go into round 6. This is against Arachne Huntsman. Very good Reno player, Melora, who I run into at every RTN and ProQuest. They're always playing some kind of hyper fatigue deck. Previously it was new. It was Intimate Inducement new as like this very fatiguey deck. But I had Aurora, and Aurora would just blow up the new. But here, Huntsman versus Florian. I heard they beat the Gravy in the finals. Yeah, I heard it was a pretty quick game actually. Like it blink and you miss it kind of thing, you know? Like almost like the game wasn't even played for how fast it was. That's pretty wild. It's pretty insane that the Florian would beat the Gravy so quickly that it's like almost like the game never happened. So against Arachne Huntsman, here I make another crucial mistake, and this was based off of the Betsy game presenting Grasp Reaping Blade and thinking, oh, well, if it's Dread Scythe, I can play late game Germinates and Everbloom them back and be fine. So I present Dread Scythe against the Huntsman, which is wrong, because Huntsman doesn't win on the same axis that Betsy does. Huntsman is eating my deck, which means that I do value my 1-card 5s more than my Everbloom Germinates back. What am I even saying? Don't worry about it, Ian. It's fine. Are you suggesting a concession? I would never suggest a concession. I don't even know what the word concession means. I've never heard that word in my life. Get out of here with your trying to get people in trouble, Ian. Noted Fab commentator trying to ruin a perfectly innocent stream. So I present Dread Scythe against the Huntsman, which is wrong. I also just don't navigate the matchup very well. As I learned, the way that you navigate the Huntsman matchup is your armor just kind of doesn't exist really. Like your armor blocks Surgical Extraction and Leave No Witnesses. Your armor doesn't block Plunder the Poor, Assault the Armed, whatever the like 0-for-4s or 1-for-5s that take my deck are. The armor is just there for protecting my arsenal or my hand. because I need to just kill the Huntsman, which is why you're playing Grasp Reaping Blade, because 1 card 5 is better than 1 card 4. So that was wrong. I also just approached the matchup poorly, like I was blocking from hand when I should have been attacking face. The Huntsman is not going to kill me with damage. The Huntsman is going to kill me by taking my deck away, so I need to just be doing damage, which I didn't know going into it. The Huntsman also just got very lucky banishes. The first Hunter or Hunted took 2 of my Germinates, and the only reason it didn't take the 3 was that one of them was in my pitch. The second Hunter or Hunted took all 3 of my Everblooms. A random Assault the Armed with Mask of Perdition took 2 of my Millennium Trees that happened to be on top of my deck. So I was like, this game was just bad all around. Like, I approached it incorrectly, and I got unlucky. But I was thankfully already locked for top 8. We were just playing for seeding at this point. So with a record of 4-2, I end up as the 6th seed, paired into the 3rd seed, the same Gravy Bones from round 4. And I'm like dooming about this matchup already. I'm unfavored. I've already lost to this player. Yasker has already won the calling, so I know I'm not going to get to play Florian again next week. But I sit down, I lock in, right? I know how this matchup is supposed to go for me. I know that I can get there. And I lose the game on turn 0, where my Gravy opponent attacks with red Saltwater Swell into blue Jittery Bones Pass. And my hand is something like Channel Mount Heroic, Outed, Everbloom Life, Canopy Shelter. And I am thinking that the Swell doesn't pitch. It's pitch blue, red Swell, show a Sawbones on top. And I'm thinking the Gravy is just going to either move to end or like somehow get the Sawbones into graveyard, play the Sawbones, attack with the Sawbones. So I want to hold my 3 block, or if nothing else, I want to play my life to gain 1 at the end of Gravy's turn. So I block the Swell for 2 with Canopy Shelter. Then Jittery Bones comes out, and I block the Jittery for 3, Arsenal Pass. So I am down 1 point of life, and that's going to matter later. But I didn't know it at the time. And I also think the block was right. It might not have been Everbloom Life in the hand, but for whatever reason, it was CMH Outed 3 block Canopy Shelter. And in my head, not having the Canopy Shelter was correct. Don't ask me why. So we go into my turn. My turn is play life, gain 1, go to 40, pitch blue, grasp, outed for 4, go again into sword. Send 8 damage, set the Channel Mount Heroic in Arsenal. Gravy's turn is some combination of cards that allows them to play a Sawbones. I block the Sawbones for 6. My turn is Grasp Reaping Blade the Sawbones, kill it, no life is lost because Sawbones prevents the arcane and then dies. Gravy's turn is something, lay a Swabby, attack with the Swabby. I take 7. My turn is pitch a blue, play the Channel Mount Heroic from Arsenal, Rune Ranger Swarm for 6, go again, targeting the Gravy, Arsenal 2nd Channel Mount Heroic. And this is where we had an interesting discussion after the game of should I have killed the Swabby? And my thought was no, I should have pushed 6 at Gravy because my plan was to try and convince the Gravy to block 6. Gravy has 4 cards and no Arsenal and no gold. And my idea is if I look like I'm going to play out my hand, the Gravy will block with 2 cards. Send Swabby for 7, Arsenal the last card in hand. And I want to take Gravy off of the possibility of conquering me because I am going to need the 2nd Channel Mount Heroic. So if I throw Rune Ranger at Swabby and Arsenal the Channel Mount Heroic, I might have to protect the Channel Mount Heroic, and I don't want to have to do that. The Gravy's point was you should kill Swabby because I have no allies in the yard, so I can't just 1 card 7 you every turn. I have to keep cards in hand in order to generate another board state. And I'm also thinking, I have this Channel Mount Heroic. I want to have 2 Channel Mount Heroics and just burst you down because I know how this game needs to go. I need to kill you before you can develop a board state, or I need to put you low enough that I can kill you with Millennium Tree through a board state. So I leave the Swabby alone. The Gravy's turn is something like put more allies in the yard, send Swabby for 7. I take the 7. My turn is pitch a blue, play the second Channel Mountain Heroic from Arsenal, Rune Rager Swarm for 9 go again at Gravy's face, E-Strike for 13 at Gravy's face. Gravy does some blocking, goes to 7. 2 Channel Mountain Heroics is a terrifying thing to hear. I can only keep 1, but the first one has gotten 9 points of value. The second one has now gotten 6. Gravy goes to 7. I have no Arsenal. The Gravy's turn is like play chum Swabby. I block 6 because my hand is Blue Rune Rager, Blue Rune Rager, Blue Rune Rager, Seed's Life, Felling of the Crown. And as much as I want to just take 1 from the chum, play the Seed's Life, and then play the Felling, I don't want to put myself in a position where chum can be used. And sadly, both of my blues are not Earth, so I can't overpitch to Felling to keep the channel around for another turn. So I just block 6, send Felling for 11. Gravy bottoms a card, gives me 3/3 blocks and Base of the Mountain, which I didn't even know they played into Florian, to block 12. They pass, come back to me. I have lost my Millennium Tree. I play another Felling and set a Millennium Tree. The next turn, I Felling, Millennium Tree is still there. At this point, Gravy, I believe, is at 2, with 2 Sawbones on the board and AB1. And this is important because it means that I cannot kill the Gravy this turn. So I block the Swabby, pitch my Earth Blue, play Millennium Tree, pitch my Blue, grasp Reaping Blade. We get an AB1. We get 2 Sawbones being used. Gravy goes to 1. I am at 2. And I have full bark skin, 1 on grasp, well grounded, still on the table. Face Perg is gone, but I'm set up, right? And I have a Millennium Tree, and I'm all good. I can live through whatever the Gravy's going to do on 2 cards. I have armor. I'm online. My bark skin is going to block for 7 with a non-attack action. All I need to do is not draw 4 reds so that I can activate Grasp and send Reaping Blade. And I draw Outed, Red Cadaverous Tilling, Channel Mount Heroic, and Red Autumn's Touch. And Gravy says, and even on 3 reds, if I can live, which I am capable of blocking 11 points of damage with my armor and the Channel Mount Heroic, to keep 3 cards, to pitch 2 reds to Grass, to pitch 1 red to Reaping Blade, Gravy says off 2 cards, play a Vasti, pitch a blue, activate Gravy, discard I think Rigor Mortis, draw a card, play a Vasti, pitch blue, attack with Swabby, and I know the follow-up is going to be no, this isn't right. Somehow Gravy has the resource to play Rigor Attack with Rigor. They didn't have Dead Threads. I don't remember where they found the 4th resource to do this. It might have been like Pitch Blue, Break Gold. I don't know. But there are enough resources that it is Swabby Rigor for 13, which I am not capable of taking. And this is where losing the extra life at the start of the game comes back to haunt me, because if I was at an effective 14 life instead of 13, then I would be able to block the Swabby with Millennium Tree, Channel Mount Heroic for 7. Gravy breaks chain, plays Rigor, attacks for 6. I cover 4 with Grasp, Barkskin, and Well Grounded. Go to 1, keep my 3 reds, kill Gravy. But I cannot do it. I have to give 2 cards to live. My turn is some dumb bullshit of like, outed face, pass. The next card I draw is a truce, and I'm like, I was so mad about it. It was so heartbreaking. And then we have this conversation after the game of, should I have killed the Swabby? Well, if I kill the Swabby, then yes, I'm not taking like 42 damage from it over the course of this game. But also, this gives you space to develop the Chum, which now I have to kill because you're not low enough for me to ignore it. You can play out the Sawbones, and now I have to kill the Sawbones. And it just means I'm not ending the game quickly. It means that I am now playing on Gravy's tempo. And I don't feel like Florian can win a game playing on Gravy's tempo, because as good as Florian's rate is with a 1-card 5, Gravy's is better with like 2-card 10s and 13s. Truly a skill issue. So we lose in quarters. We were 1 point off in so many ways. If the Gravy had been 1 point lower, we win. If I'm 1 point higher, I win. If one of my reds is a yellow, I win. If any of my reds is a blue, I win. If Grasp has 1 more point of block on it, I win. Like, there's so many ways in which I could have won this game. But that's Florian, right? I experienced the highs and lows of Florian in my single day of playing with him. Blocking with 3 Canopy Shelters, making 6 mites to kill Betsy is awesome. Drawing 4 reds when I just need a blue or a yellow to win the game is classic Florian. So I feel like I got my experience with him. Yeah, this was the deck I brought. It was a good deck. I enjoyed playing it. It did teach me that I do like playing this style of deck, as opposed to a Syndra, where you just draw 4 cards, put them on the table, and like sequencing is the thing that matters. Or KO, you draw 4 cards, and you can do a little bit of setup, but mostly you're very dependent on your draw discard. Florian felt like every hand has a ton of decisions. I can play the game in so many different ways. Different matchups are dependent on different win conditions. Like, Syndra is just dealing enough damage to kill her, and then you are playing this very basic block 2, send 2 style of play. Against Fatigue Guardian, you're looking to loop your Germinates with Everbloom Life. Against Gravy, you're looking to close the game out quickly with Channels. It's about knowing in which matchups your win condition is a late game Millennium Tree, in which matchup your win condition is an early Channel Mount Heroic, in which matchups you're just looking to play value. You can set your Swarming Gloom Veils or Rune Rager Swarms or outed in Arsenal because you know you haven't drawn a Channel Mount Heroic yet, and that's what you're setting up. Or you're setting the channel and you're waiting for the right hand to come out to play. It just felt very rewarding to play a deck that is skill expressive, as opposed to a Syndra, where you just play your hand every turn, and a KO where there is some skill expression, but mostly it's very variance based. So playing Florian was great. I'm sad that he's gone. That's why I'm playing RKO tomorrow. It's a deck that I am looking seriously at in the Compendium meta. I will be playing Enki Dupakie's list because it seems really cool with Call to the Graves, finding Back Alley Breakline, and Fiddler's Greens. But I also know that the golden age of the late game Germinate stack is over. It's why Jarl looks kind of interesting to me as I think about what heroes I want to practice in Compendium, because the Jarl does have his late game Remembrance back 3 Oakenolds and then kill you with those plan. I want to play a deck with a late game plan, and as of now I don't know what RKO's is, besides just have good numbers kind of consistently. So that's the first half of what we're doing here. Again, going through the Fablazing matchups doesn't matter because this hero doesn't exist anymore. But it's always something fun to do, and it is good to just go through the process, I think. This is the sort of thing that I want to do sort of after all of my bad losses as we adjust to the meta. So this is fablazing.com/DFG. You can get there. There is a link in the video description. I will also take this opportunity to tell you all that I have Ko-Fi that I will link to at some point, where you can buy my channel tokens, the fantastic embodiment of lightning that Majin Bey played multiple times on stream in Columbus. I also have YouTube memberships now, so you can get a cool little badge next to your name. You can also get some fun emojis that I'm working on for the channel. Watching you draw those 4 reds was some of the craziest fab I've ever seen, and the game Wyatt played after you was a 2-hour and some of the most insane fab ever. I was so sad I didn't qualify, and I think I would have beaten the Prism too. The 4 reds was such peak Florian. So YouTube memberships are new. Check those out. I am excited about improving the streaming experience for all of you. So what I like to do with Fablazing, for what it's worth, I don't think it's right not to clear the Swabby with the info you had. I agree, but I can see the argument for it. What I like to do is we'll use the matchup analysis. I'm going to take a look at the Huntsman matchup first. Not a matchup I expect to see a lot of, but it is just generally, like, I'm not going to change my deck based on Huntsman, but it is something worth like looking at what cards are winning and how they're winning. So we'll sort by, this is using Talishar data. I don't believe there is a good way to do this with paper data, unfortunately. It would also just be a very small sample size if we're looking at paper tournaments. So using my Metafy benefits, I remove just the jank Huntsman cards. I'm also going to enable advanced card impact analysis. This lets me see how cards are best used. And this is important because it's just telling me, like, should I be playing or blocking with things? I'm very heavily favored in this matchup, which it rankles me more that I lost, but I also know that I was playing a very skilled Fatigue player who is much more familiar with my deck than I am with hers. Like Mario lost one of his worst matchups and need extra attention at least until Pen comes out. I don't think the Mario lists changed though. Yes, they lost a Predator, but they still have to deal with Verdants. So they're still doing their like high damage, low disruption builds for Verdants. They also need damage and go again for Gravy. So I think Marionette definitely gets better post Florian, but the deck doesn't change. So as long as you had a plan for Marionette, you can still use that same plan. Starting with the equipment, we can sort by win rate. Apparently, if you're playing quick dodge flexors against Huntsman, you're big ups. Same with Crown of Providence, Annals of Sutcliffe. So what's interesting here, Rob, if you're in chat, is that Dread Scythe does give a significant win rate improvement compared to Reaping Blade. What's interesting is I don't agree with this based on my experience. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that data is wrong, but I am going to say that based on my game and how it went and how I would have needed to win, yeah, I would have rather had Grasp Reaping than Dread Scythe. The late game 5 instead of 4 is taking more cards from Huntsman. It also lets me keep my channel mount, my channels general around for longer because I can overpitch into Grasp Reaping and I cannot overpitch as easily into Scythe. So this is very interesting data. I would have expected Reaping Blade to be higher up. Also, this data is just weird. Like, who's bringing Nullrune Boots into Huntsman? This is the downside of a small sample size. Yeah, sample size disparity between Dread and Reaping. 11 people played Scythe, or played Scythe 11 times out of 120 compared to Reaping being 108. Yeah, it's very weird. The 4 people who brought Nullrune. I mean, it's also Talishar data, so this could be someone who's been playing Florian for a year compared to someone who picked Huntsman up after Taylor Morrow did well with it in Sonoma. Like, hard to know exactly. The card use is going to be more interesting. I sort by win rate. Not to see so much the random tech that people are bringing, because again, I'm not going to tech for Huntsman specifically. I'm expecting to see one of them, period. Was there anything about your play you wish you could change after the fact in that Swiss game against Huntsman? Yes, I would have approached the matchup differently in that I would have blocked a lot less. Like, maybe I'm blocking for tempo. If my hand is like Blue Rune Rager, my hand is like Truce, 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 Autumn's Touch. Yeah, I'm gonna block with 2 of the Truces, but if my hand is like Truce, Truce, Blue Rune Rager, Autumn's Touch. I am now prioritizing blocking 3, taking some damage, losing some cards, pitch the Truce, make or I can keep the hand, pitch to Grasp, Rune Rager, Autumn's Touch. Like, I will be more offensive because I know that I will win the race against Huntsman, and that's what I care about doing. Like, I'm not going to, if I'm blocking with 2 cards on Plunder the Poor or something, I'm still losing cards from deck. Like, the Huntsman is still accomplishing their goal of taking cards from me. I need to use my life as a resource and make the Arachne start blocking me. Could just be the one guy who tested into his friend one night. Yeah, very small sample size. And that's why I should actually remove the weird Florian cards too, specifically because I'm not teching for Huntsman. My goal here is just to see how Florians are using their cards. Without the weird tech, our win rate goes down a little bit, but that's fine. We're still sorting by win rate. We still have some low frequency cards here. I mean, who's playing Walk the Plank in Florian? But what's more important is we're checking the impact analysis. And we start to see Pitching So tomorrow, playing your Outeds, Ravenous Rabble is up here, playing your Rune Rager Swarms. The point of this is to see, we want to see how people are using their cards and if those are winning. So like Rune Rager Swarm is a great example of a card that it's 3 value on offense or defense. You either attack for 3 or block for 3. So if we get a significant win rate improvement by playing Rune Rager rather than blocking with it, that tells us how we need to be approaching the matchup. We need to be sending damage. Now we then see the Channel Mount Heroic is better blocked than played, which is interesting, considering that it makes Rune Rager Swarm better. But yeah, Outed and Bramble being so high supports your strategy. Same thing with Ravenous Rabble, just being a purely offensive card. Rune Rager Swarm is better as blocking. The data is a little interesting here. I would have expected to see more cards being used for play rather than block. Canopy Shelter being used for pitch rather than block is sort of telling. So the data isn't as straightforward as I would like it to be. Always prioritize pitching this card. I think that is more for you want to see seeds late after you're online to get more value out of it. Do you have any hot takes about heroes who climb up in the meta post-Florian? RKO. RKO is the biggest winner from Florian leaving. RKO across the board is like a 45% win rate into the meta. And he has some bad matchups at the top, but all of his bad matchups are like 47-53. And that's very skill gappable if you know what you're doing and you're properly teched. The great thing about Brute is Brute has a lot of tech options. Weakest Link, Strongest Survive, Humble, Erase Face, that all fit very easily into the deck. RKO had like a 25% win rate into Florian. It was atrocious. So without Florian, RKO gets better. Playing Blue Autumn's Touch instead of blocking with it or pitching it. Like, the data here isn't as slanted towards offense as I would have thought it would be. Prioritize pitching your Phalanx so you find them late. But this does push me towards wanting to be aggressive with Huntsman. So that does support that I played it wrong. I was more defensive against the Huntsman, more tempo-oriented than I needed to be. From what I hear about CMH and Florian versus Tree is that CMH prices you into taking damage to send it back, so maybe blocking with it was always the safer option. I know that was the Runaways take on it. I think generally that's right. You do need it in specific matchups, and I would have thought Huntsman would be one of those matchups. What's going to be more interesting is to see about it in Gravy Bones, which we're going to look at now. Gravy being a hero that you do need to tech for. So whereas the Huntsman is like, I just want to know how to approach this matchup. I'm not going to play any specific cards. Lol. I'm not going to... Let's reset. Let's try this again. Whereas I'm not going to play any specific cards for the Huntsman matchup. I am going to play specific cards for Gravy Bones. So Florian at Gravy. And this is one where I'm really interested to see how Channel Mount Heroic is best off being used, because I believe we need to really be playing them. Actually, I'm not going to exclude anything from Florian, because this is where we find like interesting tech pieces. Do you actually use the Codex Journal? And if so, as someone who's pretty new to using one, do you have any advice for me to help it be more effective as a tool for improving? Yes, yes, and yes. Sadly, I didn't use my Codex Journal much this last weekend because my games all went so long and I didn't have any time to write in them. But when I'm playing my aggressive decks, and I do have like 20 minutes in between rounds, I definitely use the Codex Journals. I think they're less helpful for like your win percent or how comfortable you are in the matchup, but the reflections after the game are very helpful. Being able to like note immediately, did you make any mistakes, or how did the game go, or the tempo of the game where you think maybe you punted. It does help it helps me remember things that I might forget over the course of a game. Like, I remember the Gravy Bones game in quarterfinals perfectly, almost perfectly, because it's just seared in my mind of like, here's all the ways that the game could have gone better. But where the Codex Journal would have been really helpful is remembering why I blocked suboptimally on turn 0. Because in my head, the hand was Channel Mount Heroic, outed, Everbloom Life, Canopy Shelter. And the reason I blocked with the Canopy Shelter instead of the Everbloom Life was that I wanted to potentially play the Everbloom on turn 0, and I didn't want to get stuck with the Canopy Shelter in case the card I would have drawn wasn't something I wanted to arsenal. But then I think, if I had the Channel Mount Heroic in hand, I would have just arsenaled that. Or I could have played the Channel Mount Heroic because I had the Canopy Shelter to bottom for the flow counter, and I could have just sent outed for 6 and then arsenaled this 4th card I would have drawn, or I could have pitched it if it was a blue for Grasp Sword. So all of that means I was never in danger of arsenaling this Canopy Shelter. So why did I feel so strongly that I needed to block with it? Which makes me think that I am misremembering my opening hand, and that's where a Codex Journal would have been helpful. Because if nothing else, I could have just looked at the bottom of my graveyard and said, here's what I had. So that's where the Codex Journal is really helpful, is remembering things about the game as soon as the game is over, so that you don't forget them later, and that can help you inform your like post-game analysis of why did I lose this, or what did I do well. It asks you good leading questions. It's the sort of thing that I used to do on the channel with the gameplay reviews, but you do it in paper. So I really do like the Codex Journal. I think it's very helpful, especially if it's a hero you're going to play often. We get back to Florian Gravy. I think this is misleading. I don't think this matchup is this close, especially against a good Gravy Bones player. We are using Talishar data, and Florian is much easier to pilot than Gravy. So this is absolutely misleading. After this, we probably won't have time, but this would be a good one to look at tournament data and just see what the Florian Gravy paper win rates are, because I think that's going to be a lot more Gravy slanted. As far as equipment, we can take a look at our win rates. Helm of the Arknight, not really that weird of a call. Like, as much as Helm is a meme, it's temper 2 and has no other text on it. Like, as much as this is worse than Face Purgatory in every matchup, my Face Purgatory did not get a ton of value, and Gravy can generally play around it. The extra point on Helm, like, is not a meme. I would have won if I had had one more point of life. So it is, I think the Helm is just strictly wrong, but I do understand why it's here. We get more small sample size stuff like Nullrun Boots. No, this is actually useless against Gravy. Who is playing Rotwood Reaper in Florian? Crown of Providence I do get, but small sample size Snapdragon Scalers for E-Strike doesn't seem like super unreasonable. What's kind of interesting is that we see Spring Tunic being higher up than Millennium Tree, which would have been my experience. Hey, Nick. Where do I think Huntsman lands in the meta now that Florian is gone? I think Huntsman is still kind of a meme. Like, Florian was a bad matchup, but you still just die to Gravy. You can look at the cards in the deck. This is going to be interesting because we'll see some of the tech that is helping Florian. So we've got, like, Blow for a Blow is just go again that Florian can pay for. Whereas you're usually getting a 2-card 7 out of Pitch Blue to Grasp, Ruin Rager, Sword. Blow for a Blow is also a 2-card 7, but you're sending 4 damage on your first attack instead of 3. So you can kill Sawbones, Sawbones and Swabby through Fearless Confrontation, and you can kill Scuba through just being 4. If you can discard an ally to face Purg, getting +1 health means you win that quarterfinal game. It's true. Blanche is here too. Blanche turns off Gravy's ability to play allies from graveyard because he can no longer put blues in the graveyard, so that makes sense. Looming Doom presents a clock. That Gravy can't just AB one away. If the Gravy can Sawbones it, it means the Sawbones isn't attacking you, which is kind of nice. Gravekeeping, sure, you do gravekeeping stuff. Ripple Away is kind of interesting if you have the tech. If Gravy does something like Hook, Conquer of the High Seas, and you Ripple Away, then Gravy doesn't make a gold and loses the Hook. It's also just a blue 3 block. But we start to get down to like cards that you would see more of. Our representation goes up. Haunting Rendition is just a 4 block that covers a Chum, that and a 3 block covers a Swabby. Warmonger's Diplomacy has play. Seeds of Tomorrow. We can still use our matchup analysis here just to see, as soon as we get big enough sample sizes, like how are we using these cards? Prioritize pitching Ripple Away says that we maybe shouldn't be playing Ripple Away. Play Sigil of Suffering, don't pitch it. Block with the Weakest Link rather than playing it says that Weakest Link could just be any 3 block. This is where we start to see that some of the tech is maybe not as good. But what we are looking for is when we get into higher representation of cards, how are we using them? Always prioritize pitching Shelter from the Storm is a good indication of how we need to play this matchup. If you can find how a D-React is used in any matchup, that tells you how you want to play it. If you are pitching Shelter, that means you are attacking with something. You are sending damage at Gravy's face rather than getting value from playing the Shelter. You are trading 4 points of value on defense for 1 point of value on offense, and that means that we need to be aggressive in this matchup. Same with Sink Below. You are playing your Flourish rather than blocking with it. Advantage on playing Outed. Pitch your Condemned to Slaughters. Pitch your Scar. Oh, because your life is going to be higher until it isn't. Pitch your E-Strike. That's weird. All right, these are starting to get weird now. Play your Trot Along for Go again. Pitch your Canopy Shelter instead of blocking with it. That doesn't make as much sense. The data can be misleading. And this is not always a great way to analyze your matchups. But I do think that generally this does support being aggressive. Card correlates with losses. Don't play Ravenous Rabble. Not playing Ravenous Rabble does kind of make sense, because God, if you attack a Swabby with Rabble thinking you're going to kill it with 4 and you reveal a blue, you've just lost the game. I did talk about the Betsy game. Play Swarming, play Channel Mount, play your Channel Mount, don't block with them. The data here is a bit difficult to parse, but I do think it points towards being aggressive. If I was going to board specifically for Gravy, if I was going to tech for it, I think the cards I'm looking at are Blanche and Warmonger's Diplomacy, just as cards that have utility in other matchups. Warmonger's is good against Dio. Blanche is good against Prism. But this does support being aggressive into Gravy, which, yeah, I do think I had the right idea in that quarterfinals game, and I just got unlucky. I made a bad block on turn 0 that compounded into me getting unlucky on the last turn of the game. If I have a blue in that last hand, it doesn't matter because I just survive and win. But if I had blocked better on turn 0, then yeah, I do get to keep 3 reds and kill the gravy. So I do have to go, unfortunately. As fun as this is, I would like to play some games today, but I'll be back tomorrow with RKO. Same time, same place, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on the channel. I have appreciated you all being here today. Check out all of my various socials, Blue Sky, Discord, Patreon. I have a Ko-Fi, which I'll put in the description. I have YouTube memberships. Check those out. You can spam chat with fun emojis. Otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of your Thursday. I am going to attempt to switch scenes to see if my OBS crashes again. I think I might have fixed it, but we're going to find that out. And thank you all again for being here. I hope to see you all again tomorrow. Many of you are excited for RKO, and I will either see you on the other side of this scene switch, or I will see you tomorrow. Let's find out. Okay. Wow. It worked. Great. Run your OBS in administrator mode, kids. All right. Now I'm going. Bye-bye.